Hey, this is Coach Marty,
And this is Lori.
and it's time for That Sports Couple.
What?
Brought to you by
Diamond Distributing.
Colonial Exterminating Company,
Edward Jones, C. Robert Email.
Wendy Benedetto, Ladder and Blue,
Sports Pub, Destrehan.
Adam Roussel, Riverbed, Chiropractic, Tri-Parish Trophies,
The Seafood Pod. Welcome to That Sports Couple. This is episode 9.
9.
Week 9, episode 9. I'm Lori Lyons, the sports writer, the ghost writer. This is Marty Luquet, the coach, and it's Halloween. And I wanted us to wear costumes, but no. Anyway, trick or treat for you. We do have some fun treats this week, though, Marty.
We have a couple guests,
Our first sports couple.
if you want to call it that. We were able to get Coach Marcus Scott and Coach Greg Boyne together
From Destrehan and
from
Hahnville,
Destrehan and
respectively.
Hahnville on their big week, and just talked about all the things that go on in the parish during those.
Because
during
it
this week.
is rivalry week. It is Hahnville-Destrehan week. It's big game week. Y'all can talk about all those other rivalries if y'all want to, but everybody in St. Charles Parish knows Hahnville-Destrehan week is it. It's the only game, well, maybe Letcher St. James, that I had to go be at the game for like 3 or 4 o'clock just to get a spot in the press box.
I'll bet you St. James, Riverside and St. Charles would be that way if they ever played.
If they ever played again, oh, definitely. But Letcher St. James, Letcher Riverside maybe a couple of times, but as far as their stadiums are not as big as Hahnville-Destrehan.
Right.
This is a humongous game in St. Charles Parish. You got people in the courthouse, ribbing each other, people in the plants ribbing each other.
And let's be honest, they're going to put 7,000 people in the stands.
Yep.
And that's not including the bands and the dance teams and all the auxiliary things.
And all the school board members.
So there's going to be 8,000 people in there.
Easy.
And it's so much fun because the stands are big and the echo from back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
depending on who makes the big play. It's so much fun. And I'm glad I got a chance to experience that on the field as a coach because, it's hard to explain,
And we talked to another coach. Well, actually, someone who played in it as a Destrehan Wildcat, coached in it as a Destrehan assistant coach, and coached in it as the Hahnville head coach, our sports kid, Daniel Luquet. He joins us as well in this episode. We have 2 sports kids and 1 non-sports kid.
So we'll get a chance to hear his version of what it's like, and
His memories.
And he talks about what it's like for the parish and all. So it's a good week. It's going to be fun. I think you'll enjoy it.
Except we won't be there.
Well, we'll be there in heart.
We'll be there in spirit, but we're actually taking a trip to Houma this week to go to Terrebonne, my alma mater. It is their homecoming. It's not my homecoming. Did that a couple of years ago. Got a couple more to go. I'm a O. But my grandniece, Madison Brunet, is on the homecoming court, and I'm going to go and scream and cheer just in case she gets crowned queen, and we're going to have fun. So that's where I'll be.
And Lori can't drive because of her eyes, and so I'm going too, but so is the iPad.
You'll be watching.
I'll be watching.
All right, you satellite center kids. You do a good job for the coach.
Sound can go off.
All right, so this week we're going to talk about the big games. We already know Hahnville-Destrehan play each other, but let's talk about last week first.
Okay.
And who they play.
Let's talk about them prepping. We had Destrehan playing Central Lafourche. We told you that was going to be a pick your score homecoming week for Destrehan. 41-0 was the final. So they didn't look past them.
Nope.
And of course, either did Hahnville look past East St. John as they prepared. Hahnville won 47-18. It was 18-12 at halftime.
It was close for a little while.
And then the third quarter, as Coach Boyne said, they just weren't playing well. And then the third quarter, they couldn't have played any better.
Right.
Put up 21 points and put the game away.
Right.
So they moved on and they go to 6-1 and go into this week with a chance to be if they can knock off Destrehan, they'll be the district champs, undefeated, and have one game left with
It's
Lakeshore.
fun when this game means something. You know, the last couple of years maybe, and there have been years before that it maybe not meant as much, a bit bragging rights, but this is a big game as far as it matters. So there you go.
And in other games that we anticipated being blowouts, Letcher took care of Ellender 56-0. Letcher is fabulous, and they're gonna make a deep run. Their toughest teams are behind them in their district.
Undefeated.
They're undefeated. They're going to be the top seed in their classification. So I mean, probably the only one that can stop Letcher will be Letcher. They'll have to have a bad game, and somebody have to play well.
There you go.
Next, we had St. James blowing out Donaldsonville 35-6.
I didn't see that.
I did.
Oh.
I
thought it'd be closer.
Well, when West St. John beat Donaldsonville, I figured that St. James was going to beat them pretty handily.
Okay.
And, of course, they did. And then in close games, St. Martin's held on over West St. John 37-22 in a game where, I mean, we've had coaches tell us that they thought those two teams were evenly matched, with the exception of number 25 on St. Martin's, and he was the difference in this game as well.
Yeah.
So next year they'll have a drag out, knock down, close game. And of course, St. Charles played Bell Chase.
Undefeated Bell Chase.
Undefeated Bell Chase. We've been saying, don't look at the record. It's not that St. Charles is a talented team. They went out and knocked off Bell Chase 14-13.
Mm-hmm.
This week, I think they have Kenner Discovery with a Week 10 matchup with Shaw. So it's going to be fun going down the stretch. Week 10 is going to be fun for them, and we're looking forward to that. But that's our games from last week. Like we were talking, on episode 8, didn't expect a lot of close games there.
No. It was,
we got exactly what we expected.
Exactly.
But this week was, to be honest with you, we're going to do a lot of the same thing. With the exception of Hahnville and Destrehan, not one of them play a team that's going to be close.
Really?
Yeah. You got Hahnville-Destrehan, you got HLB and East St. John. Okay,
that could be a close game.
That could be a close game. East St. John's going to have to play all facets.
Yeah.
They haven't done that yet and haven't put it together. And then you get to Letcher and Morgan City. That's Morgan City's got one win. Riverside and Varnado. The worst thing that can happen to Riverside is they got to take the ride to Varnado. After that, it'll be fine. Kenner Discovery and St. Charles. Last week, Shaw beat Kenner Discovery 79-0. So I mean, they're putting them away. St. James at Patterson. Patterson's struggling this year.
Go to the Hahnville-Destrehan game or watch it.
And then Crescent City and West St. John. West St. John should win this one, and they're probably going to pick their score.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially at West St. John. So we're looking for West St. John to pick up another win. And they're lining themselves up nicely in the 1A non-select. They're going to get a home game in the playoffs.
It's week 9.
They should get a home game in the playoffs. I
can't believe this season is already.
And yes, the season flew by. We're through that middle hard part.
Yeah.
Now one of the organizations came out this week and put the brackets up with names.
I saw that.
If it was today, this is who you play. That's how you know you can.
It's like, all right, we can start making predictions.
There is no way those things are going to hold up.
No.
But
everybody likes to prognosticate.
Well, they start getting, I hope it stays like that. Well, it's not going to stay like that. I mean,
nope. And there's only a handful of undefeated teams left. Bunkie is undefeated.
Bunkie. We were talking about that on my Saturday morning show, and
Bunkie.
And I can only imagine a town that small going downtown and seeing all the storefronts with I don't know what Bunkie's nickname is, but go Bunkettes or whatever.
We have a friend there. We're gonna call him up and find out because he's the mayor of Bunkie. Garland Foreman, we're going to call him up and ask him what it's like over there. Bird is also undefeated.
There's plenty of undefeated.
There's plenty of undefeated teams.
There's still plenty of undefeated teams.
It's, and Homa Christian. Covenant Christian. Covenant Christian in Houma. There you go.
It was undefeated.
Undefeated.
So,
First time, I think, in a long time.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right.
Well, that's our recap and look forward to this week. And when we come back, we'll spend a few minutes.
Our first sports couple, Greg Boyne from Hahnville and Marcus Scott from Destrehan. Brought to you by Diamond Distributing. They're the guys who deliver the Hubig's pies.
Lemon!
No apple. If you don't see your favorite pie and freeze-dried goodies at your store, have them call Diamond Distributing.
Brought to you by Colonial Exterminating Company, a local family-owned company that will help you get rid of your termites, pests, and rodents. They're a Christ-based company looking forward to serving you.
Brought to you by Robert Hemel at Edward Jones Investing on Belterre Boulevard in Laplace. Trust Robert with all your investment needs.
Brought to you by Riverbend Chiropractic. Come see Dr. Adam Roussel for pain relief. His decompression table will change your life. Call Riverbend Chiropractic in Destrehan.
Welcome back to That Sports Couple, episode 9, week 9. I'm Lori Lyons. He's Marty Luquet. We are That Sports Couple, and it's Halloween day, and we're going to roll this out a day early. It's Halloween, and we have a special treat for you.
Look, we got a chance to speak with the head coaches at Hahnville-Destrehan, and Coach Greg Boyne and Coach Marcus Scott. And I told them straight up, like, they don't really want to talk strategy.
No.
I said, look, we don't.
It's a secret.
We don't even want to talk football. We just want to talk atmosphere. What is it like, and what has it been like, and what have you experienced?
And for Coach Boyne, who spent 20 plus years at Destrehan, but graduated from Hahnville, this is his first time back at Hahnville for this big game. But he didn't play football at Hahnville. He said he was a basketball player. So
that's all right. He's gonna feel the heat.
So it was kind of cool to talk to him, to ask him, what has it been like for you as, going back to your alma mater, and this is the first game that week. So it's a pretty interesting conversation we had. So here you go. Greg Boyne and Marcus Scott from Hahnville and Destrehan. All right. Welcome back to That Sports Couple. We are so excited today. It's Hahnville-Destrehan week, the big rivalry week, and we are so excited to have Destrehan coach Marcus Scott and new Hahnville coach Greg Boyne, who used to be a Destrehan coach but went to Hahnville. It's just crazy. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Guys, we know that it's a big week normally. Obviously, y'all playing for a share of the district title too, but we're not going to talk about the football end. We want to talk about all the things going on at school and how your program is and what everybody's looking at. Greg, what's going on the West Bank?
This is your first time on the other side. Tell me what it's like.
Well, I got mustard all over my front door and my front yard that I'm still trying to clean off from a couple nights ago, but otherwise pretty quiet.
So there are shenanigans.
Oh yeah, definitely. Always shenanigans. Always.
Is it different though? What is the main difference now that you're one in purple? What's the main difference for you over there?
It's the game's the game. The football part's the football part. It's exciting to see the West Bank community excited about the game. We had the middle school game last night, and people are excited. Said they'll be there Friday. Obviously, when you play a good program like Destrehan, that's obviously well run by Coach Scott. You hope that your team can play up to the level of the competition. And give the people something to watch that show up. So that's pretty much it. We're trying to take it, like a normal week.
Well, we know it's not. But Marcus, how's your guys doing?
Well, similar approach. We try to keep it as normal as possible. And with all the stuff that's going on around us. And so, that can be a challenge, but I think the kids have done a good job of just trying to just keep it as normal as possible. You can't control what happens outside these walls, but you can just try to focus on it. And, they are kids and I hadn't gotten hit just yet, but I'm sure that that my home will be visited soon. So being that I live in Willowdale, so
And then help.
204. What's the address?
oh, they already know it.
Do you have to prepare differently though, Marcus? Because I mean, he was a member of your staff for so long, and up until a few months ago, do you do anything differently? Or I mean, he knows all your secrets.
Well, look, we both sides are familiar with each other, and it's gonna come down to the kids
Yeah.
playing the game. We our days are long gone, so we go just try to get the kids prepared on both sides as much as possible. But the kids gonna go out, they're gonna play, and at the end, there's gonna be a winner, there's gonna be a loser, and that's basically how we view it.
Greg, how's it going to feel when you're standing on the visitor sidelines and
Yeah, really, Destrehan.
and
Yeah.
and then the song comes on and the drum solo.
I'm gonna try not to beat the air drums when the song comes on.
Everybody does it.
Everybody does. Yeah, it'll be different. It'll be strange. I told Ryan Arena yesterday that I think that's the one moment where it'll be a little weird. You got so many friends on that side, guys you worked with for a long, long time. Marcus and I go way back, and so do myself and Coach Taffy, several members of that staff. Great group of kids. I knew when I left what I was leaving behind. Not just good players, but good kids. So I think that part for that moment will be a little different. First walking out and seeing the kids on the other side, and then when you lined up across from it. But then once the game starts, again, the game's the game. You start calling the game, and I think that part is forgotten. And then maybe after, some emotions after.
Exactly.
Greg, I think back to when we were on the staff together back in 2001.
Cool.
Old people.
And I think you had just got there a year or two before me. And Hahnville had a run going that we ended up winning that game, holding off the Landrys.
Unbelievable
and Mark
game.
Young. You remember this?
Unbelievable game.
Yeah, down to the end when they were driving, and we held them off at the end. And I remember you making a circle around the park.
I don't remember that. I don't remember myself and Eric Parquette running around the field like 25
Was Eric? Wasn't you?
There was both of us. I'll admit it. You do some things when you're younger that you're not proud of. I think.
But we laughed. I still remember. It's one of my favorite memories. Obviously, that was Daniel's senior year. So,
Yep.
I mean, it was special to be on staff and then have your son be the quarterback. But
there's always something great. I have covered so many of these games. I was at the game when Hahnville won, and one of the coaches went out and painted the district championship number on the scoreboard before the clock was even run out. I mean, it's been some crazy stuff. People lining up at 3:00 in the afternoon. It's just one of those fun games. People tailgating on the levee by Destrehan. It's just one of those fun games that, as a reporter, as a sports writer, I loved because it was fun, but I also hated because I had to be there at 3:00 in the afternoon for a 7:00 game just to get a spot.
Well, Marcus, anything different being the host of this game? Did you all doing it?
Does the air conditioning in the press box work yet?
I have no idea.
Is the system doing anything? Is school system doing anything special for this, or
contraflow and Shakes Snyder Lane?
Well, I'm sure. I'm sure there's always some type of. I believe there's a shuttle at one year, a couple years. I'm not sure if that's going on still, but look, it's really good for the community on both sides, and it's the excitement is really good for not only the communities but for high school athletics in general.
And it means a lot. Like there was one year when I first started at the paper, Chipper Simon, former principal at Destrehan, called me. He had measured the sizes of the two stories the day of the game, the Hahnville story and the Destrehan story, and he was mad because the Hahnville story was like a half an inch bigger than the Destrehan story. And he called me and said,
that doesn't sound like Mr. Simon at all.
Greg, that doesn't surprise anybody, does it? Not anybody that ever worked for Chipper.
It means a lot in the plants and the communities and families and everybody.
Well, guys, you're both doing a fabulous job. We're so
It should be a
excited.
good game.
We're so excited about the success of your season and of this game, and look forward to seeing what happens this week, but also going into week 11 into the playoffs. It's been fabulous to live in St. Charles Parish. It's a good time to be here, and you all both credit to the profession. So we
Appreciate
appreciate you coming on with us.
Oh, the bell's ringing.
Uh-oh.
We appreciate you coming on with us.
Okay.
Anything you want to say on the way out, Greg?
No, I just want to wish Coach Scott and his staff good luck and the players. And, Coach Scott and I share, we always tell kids, pressure is a privilege and it's a privilege to play in big games like this. And both he and I believe it. So I think, you'll see a competitive, hard fought game. And like he said, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But either way, we have a week 10 game next week.
Yeah.
Marcus, anything you want to finish with?
Yeah, look, piggyback on what Greg said. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I mean, a lot of times you go through stuff, you go through adversity and things of that nature, and that's our job as coaches is try to teach kids, just give them some tools that they can use in their lives outside of football. And so, we both believe that, and that's our number one focus. And the wins and losses are gonna come and go. I mean, there's gonna be years where, we have the better teams. There's gonna be years where they have the better team. But the message to both of our programs is gonna remain the same.
Well, I have all the scores, so and I posted them on Facebook yesterday, so you can go count them. I'm not counting them. I lose track every year.
I stay off of that stuff.
Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Appreciate coming on.
Have a great game. It's gonna
Yeah,
be fun.
Thank y'all for having us.
And Greg, take a
Yeah,
minute to
thank
enjoy
you, guys.
Yeah, really.
it.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Wendy Benedetto at Ladder and Bloom. If you are buying or selling your home, call the best in the business. Let Wendy Benedetto get you home.
Brought to you by the Sports Pub in Destrehan. For fabulous food and big screen TVs, come to the Sports Pub for all the action. It's a must after your big game. That was our conversation with Marcus Scott and Greg Boyne. There's been some shenanigans going around. This is the week usually that there's a short supply of toilet paper in your Dollar General. And
Yeah, but there's a big supply of police officers on the
oh
bridge.
yeah, they've been patrolling. Our sheriff has kind of tried to put the kibosh on all this stuff.
I think you did a great job this year.
It's gotten out of hand. There were some destructive things, and there have been some over the top shenanigans. But it used to be all in fun. We used to have to hide the lawn ornaments. Tell them that story.
But even now, the last couple of years, it got bad where even the players got involved,
Oh yeah,
and some of them got suspended and couldn't play.
yeah.
You don't want to.
You don't want that.
You don't want to get there.
You don't want that.
But
It's fun.
But it used to be fun. I mean, we had a year. My first year at Destrehan, my son was the senior quarterback, and some of his friends from Hahnville side, from the other side, came over by the house. They were going to toilet paper the house, and we knew they would, and it was fun. But my first wife, she forgot to bring in a wooden display of Daniel.
It's cute. Looks
a
just
little
like
football dude sitting there like this with number 15 on, and so they took it
him.
and they stuck it in the back of a truck bed so it stood up above the tailgate, put a diaper on it, and drove it around for a week. Now, at the time, I knew them and I had seen it, and I saw, so I knew the kids, and I called them up. I said, "Hey, man, y'all got Daniel's thing?" "Yeah, coach, we got it." I said, when this week's over, just make sure you get it back to his mom's house." "No problem, coach, we'll bring it back." And they did. The week was over, and it was like Tuesday. They brought it back, and they stuck it in the yard, but they did leave the diaper on it.
And then a couple of years ago, we found it when the hurricane knocked down our garage. We had some things that we saved, and one of them was the little wooden cutout of Daniel. And I didn't want to put it in the front yard, but we put it in our backyard just for fun. And Destrehan's principal cuts our grass, and Daniel was the coach at Hahnville, and Destrehan's principal stole our little cutout of Daniel and brought it to the game and
put it on their sideline.
Put it on their sideline. Shenanigans. That's the fun stuff. If you're going to be doing stuff, do fun stuff.
Oh.
Don't be destructive Make good choices.
One year, the sheriff said, "Look, we're cutting out all toilet paper, and you're not doing that." So they started to toilet paper each other on their side of the river. But we live on Apple Street, one of the main streets in Norco.
We never got toilet paper.
Yes,
one year.
And one of the moms of one of the cheerleaders or one of the dance team, whatever they were, or just friends, I don't remember. She called and said, "Do you mind if we toilet paper your house?" I'm like, "No, I don't care." So here they come, and she brings her daughters, and she's in her pajamas and her slippers on, and she's parked up the street, and the girls are throwing it. We're sitting in the living room. You can see the toilet paper going back and forth. Not saying a word. Daniel's sitting there. He doesn't see any of it. He doesn't even acknowledge it. And all of a sudden you see, whoop, 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 whoop. Here come the lights. And the police come. Well, the girls run back to the truck. And the police pull the truck up to the truck, and they get out. So I see that, and I go walk down the street.
And they said, "But we have their permission. They said we could toilet paper the house." And the cop came and knocked on the door.
No, I went down the street.
Oh.
I go down the street, and he goes, "Sir, these people were toilet paper in your house?" I said, "Yeah, I see that." And she's hanging out. The mom's hanging out the door. "Tell him, Coach. Tell him that you said it was okay." I'm like, "Sir, I don't even know who this lady is." And he's like, looks at her. She's like, "Marty." I'm like,
no. They knocked on the door and said, "Did you really?" He was mad. He said, "Did you give them permission?" I said, "It's fun." Toilet papering houses, I bet you don't know this, used to be an invitation to breakfast. You would toilet paper someone's house, and then you would go over and help them clean it up, and they would cook you breakfast. So it was like, invite me over for breakfast. Look, I'm going to make a mess in your yard, so you have a reason to. Believe it or not.
Okay, you say so.
The journalist did a newspaper story on it many, many years ago. A long time ago. All right. So anyway.
So, hey, it's a fun week. It's always good, and if your school doesn't have a rival, that's a shame, because this kind of stuff is
and
fun.
Riverside and West St. John ain't toilet papering each other because they live too far apart. Right. It's fun. All right. But we have one board treat for you. We not only talked to two coaches of this week's game, we talked to a guy who played at Destrehan as a player, and then was the coach at Destrehan as an assistant coach, and then was the coach at Hahnville and got to coach in the big game. And now he's part of the recreation department, and he's seeing both sides and the rivalry that goes on in the offices around the building. And
he has some great insight into
absolutely
into what everyone's feeling as they prepare.
Yeah.
The kids are for preparing for that game.
Great memories.
The coaches aren't going to say that. They know it, but they're not going to say that. And he's able to say that now because he's not on either side.
Well, here's our little conversation with Marty Luquet's son, Daniel Luquet. Welcome back to That Sports Couple. This week, we have a special treat on Halloween. We have the Sports Couple kid, one of them, Coach Daniel Luquet, who played in the Hahnville-Destrehan game, was a coach in the Hahnville-Destrehan game on both sides. Daniel, welcome to That Sports Couple.
Well, thanks for having me. Finally on the show.
About time. It's only number 9.
Number 9. That's
Episode
right.
9.
There you go.
All right. You played you played in 4 of them. You coached a bunch. What do you remember?
Whew. Everything.
I know you remember the scores. Men always do.
You remember the scores. You remember the schools and the atmosphere that leads up to it. In my older days, one of the things that I can recall is just being a teacher, coach at both Destrehan and Hahnville, and you have people from both sides of the river that work at both schools, and they're wearing their Hahnville or Destrehan shirts to work. And I think the school system does a good job of really pumping up this game, and you'll see certain people at certain schools will have their own little Hahnville-Destrehan rivalry within the school. And I just think that that's the things you remember. I know when I get together with guys that played on either side of the river, they remember scores, they remember plays like they were yesterday. It's like that great Christmas gift that you got one time. You just never forget it. A buddy of mine was a kicker for the 2003 championship team for Hahnville, and I mean, he could tell you every kick he made, every kick he missed, and it's just something that people will remember for their entire life. And You got people on both sides of the river that, kids are playing recreation football and middle school football to get an opportunity to play in that rivalry.
Well, I know I remember 2001 vividly. I just got to Destrehan. You were the senior quarterback. Do you remember your little wooden man taking a trip around the parish?
I do. I remember Lee Trek took it, put it in the back. That's something that we've talked about many times over the last years. And, sometimes I wish that the rivalry or the lead up to that was only as elementary as that was, because in the last couple of years it's taken its steps. But at the end of the day, a lot of these kids know each other from playing travel ball, recreation ball together, and that was a little bit different now than it was when I played. I knew a lot of those guys that I played against because of All-Stars, but it was a short, brief period when you played bitty basketball together or All-Stars together. Now these kids are playing year-round with each other, and I think it just takes the rivalry to a different level because it's a little bit more personal because they're friends and they've grown up together.
What is it like this week as a player? Do you remember just looking forward to the game and your coach saying it's just another game? Do you remember that?
Yeah, practices are just the same. The lead up is different because the outside forces make it different when you're a player. There's dress down days, there's this, there's that, and homecoming. You'll have pep rallies that you might not have a pep rally for any other game. But for a player, for me, it was the number one game on the schedule. No matter what you said, you wanted to beat your rival. You wanted to beat the people across the river. And I know I have a bunch of friends that were on that side, and it was the same. It was, it's almost like you can lose every other game if you win that one. It's an interesting dynamic, but it's fun to be a part of as a coach and as a player.
Well, so what was it like as a coach? I mean, now you're the one telling your kids it's just another game, and they don't buy it either.
Really, I didn't take that approach. I know as it's twofold, right? It's the longest week that you have, or one of the longest weeks, but you only get 4 opportunities to play it, and I took it upon. My thought was enjoy it, right? It isn't just another. It is another game when it comes to its football, but it's not another game when you play quarterback or running back, whatever you are, in a game like that with that many people who are cheering for you or cheering against you. Not very many people get to experience something like that. So for me, it was, what the task at hand is, but just enjoy every moment, because I know all the alumni that played in this game, they enjoyed this week as much as a fan as they probably did as a player.
That's true. Yep.
And it's a tennis effect when you're on the field. On every play, one side screams, and then the next play, the other side screams, and it goes back and forth. And there's 7,000 people in the stands. I mean, it's the biggest crowd you're going to play in, unless you make it, of course, to the Superdome. But and like you said, you only get to do it 4 times.
I like that. Yeah, didn't think about that.
And it's an exciting time. I know.
Now, I might be the only coach that's ever felt that way. But even when I was an assistant coach at, for Robe, that's kind of how I felt as a quarterback coach. But I do get the mantra, right? It's, even in the baseball realm of things, it is another game to what your ultimate goal is as a team. And your ultimate goal is not to beat Hahnville or to beat Destrehan. Your ultimate goal is to hold the trophy and be the last team standing. And they're just part of that. Either side, they're part of that that venture to that. But I think sometimes you got to live in the moment and enjoy something that a lot of people don't get to feel what it's like to be on that field.
Right.
We got to talk briefly with Coach Scott and Coach Boyne this afternoon. And one of the things I reminded him, because you told me about it when you were at Woodlawn and you came to Destrehan. In the air tonight, it's a little different, huh?
Yeah. It's it's something that you when you play here, and you go to other places and you talk to people who have played here, that's what they remember, right? Boys of Fall is what they remember.
Yeah.
And really on the other side, it's everybody's an LSU fan, right? But it's the fight song. It's
those 4 notes.
Tiger Pride. It's those type of things that are unique to you as an alumni of each school, and you take it for granted sometimes because you hear it so often. But then you go and you see how other schools and other people across the state that have played either one of the 2 teams in this rivalry, how much they respect what they do as a program, what they do as a tradition. It's my 5 years in Baton Rouge coaching kind of enlightened me to that there are other rivalries in the state, but I mean, if there's about probably 20 quarterbacks that have played in this rivalry on either side of the river, that if you stood on your side of the river, you could throw a football twice and it would get to the other side.
Good point.
Like, it's just different. It's just different.
Yep, it is. It's a huge week, and all the shenanigans we talked about, toilet paper and lawn ornaments. We used to have a little wooden miniature Daniel when he was quarterback at Destrehan, and it disappeared for a little while, for a long while, didn't it?
Well, and then the system does a great job of incorporating everybody
Right.
now. With
the courthouse.
Well, with the cancer
Pink
links
Yeah.
and all that, and they have the little competition and all that. They do that's what helps make it special. Obviously, the bands and everybody. It's a big game for everyone involved.
Yes, it is. It really is.
It's a look, both schools have deep tradition, but yeah, it's a chance for St. Charles Parish to show all the great things that we do. Like you said, auxiliary groups like the dance teams, cheerleaders, the bands, the ROTC. They get an opportunity to bring out the flag in front of 7,000 people at the games at their field, and that's something that I guarantee you they're going to remember for the rest of their lives as well. And I just the amount of tailgating that's going to be going on, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool atmosphere that I hope that people don't take for granted, because doesn't happen at every place, because I've been around some football in some different areas, and
Me too.
I remember
not just to show up at 30 and get ready to play a football game.
I had to be there at 4 to get a spot in the press box.
But and you go back and start picking out names if you want. The Puka Williams, the Fred Smiths, the guys that turned those games around and kind of made their name in these games. I mean, they're great players. They were gonna be successful, but having their best games of their life in these games. You had one of yours.
Yeah, those are the names that everybody knows, right? Those are the ones that went on to have successful careers past the high school. But it's the guys like the, Dennis Ryans, the Michael Melitos on my side, or the Ryan Keys of Hahnville, Ben Maxwell's of Hahnville,
Kirk Fobbs and
Jared Farrell, who's recreation, who was a safety, but everybody remembered him as a guy who was good on the bump. It's
planted you on the track that night.
Yeah. I tried running. I was going that way with my momentum. So you got. Yeah. Look, in that game, sometimes you're outside of your norm. I didn't in that game. We didn't start off as a team well. And to this day, I'll tell you that they were on paper a way better football team than us. But it's the one thing about the rivalry that you never know, is that, when things and momentum start shifting and what team can just survive, and we had an opportunity to win that one. And we went in the playoffs, and if we'd have won the first round playoff game, we'd have played them again in the second round. They probably would have beat us by 40. But at one moment, right? Under those lights overhead home, we were lucky, and just like the year before, they block an extra point to win a close 7-6 ball game. It's
Wasn't there a controversial call on the last play of one of those games?
Nope.
Somebody was.
No, we don't talk about controversy.
Okay.
Fred Smith may or may not have caught a touchdown in the end zone, but the film I had, he caught that.
I knew something was up.
But you
Well,
talk,
Daniel, you got something else you want to say?
talk to the people in Hahnville. He dropped it on the way down.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us and sharing some memories. And it's always good to have you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it for coming on.
We have a sports kid, one or two sports kids.
So don't leave.
Brought to you by the Seafood Pot in New Sarpy, the best seafood in the river parishes. Crabs, shrimp, seafood platters, po' boys, and those daiquiris. Doesn't get any better than the Seafood Pot. Brought to you by Tri-Parish Trophies in Reserve. When it's time to acknowledge someone's accomplishments, let Tri-Parish Trophies help. They're also your sign and printing professionals. Let them help you. They're a family-owned company. Well, that was my stepson, Marty's son, Daniel Luquet, the coach. Great insight on what it was like to be a player and a coach and what this game means. It's a big deal in this community. It's a big deal to the kids. And he's right. It's something, he's 40 years old. It's something they'll always remember.
I remember when I first got hired at the rec department in 92. The game came up, and I had not been a part of it on either side. I'd been coaching in New Orleans.
You were outsider, yeah.
And I had moved, I'd lived in St. Charles, but I always went to Algiers to coach. And I came to the rec department, and they said, "You're a Destrehan guy." And I'm like, my children hadn't gone to Destrehan yet. I had no ties to Destrehan yet. I'm like, "How you figure that?" And they said, "You live over there." And I'm like, "You can't live on the river." It's wherever side you live on, that's you.
But there are people that Daniel's wife, Corey, she went to Hahnville. Now she teaches at Destrehan. There are a lot of people like that who went to one, work at the other, or are married to somebody who went to the other, and it's a rivalry week. Look, it's a rivalry that started with who grew the best sugar cane. So there you go.
Well, and the St. Charles Parish has done that a lot. Try to get people to go to one school and teach at the other.
Right.
Back and forth. It just blends everything together. And they do a great job.
It's a fun place. It's a fun week.
It is a good week. And it's going to be fun to watch. And just remember that Scheck-Snyder Lane only runs one way.
Oh, Contraflow and Scheck-Snyder Lane this week. It's just wild to me. And there's a shuttle. You can't park. You won't be able to drive.
Shuttle from the Jerusalem Temple.
I think so, yeah.
On the boulevard. So, hey, it is what it is.
I don't have to be there at 3:00.
No.
Nope. There you go. All right. So there you go. All right. You want to talk about one more thing before we go? Baseball. Yankees. Dodgers.
I recapped last week, and I'm going to be brief this one. Okay? Because I said,
tell us what you think.
My biggest thing was I wanted to see 7 games. So I was excited about. I want to see them play as much as they can because it's so exciting. But it's only exciting if both teams do their part,
right?
And the Yankees, they haven't done their part in the first 3 games. They've swung and missed. They've walked a lot of people. They haven't played defense.
One person.
That's the kiss of death. You don't do those 3 things. You got to pitch, play defense, and not swing and miss. You got to put the ball in play, and they weren't doing that. And it showed up, and it ended up being the determining factor in all 3 games, with the exception of, hey, throw in Freddie Freeman. What a series he's having. He's the MVP right now if they find a way to win at 5. Last night, the Yankees found a way to right the ship. They got a grand slam in the 3rd, led off that energy in the stadium, and then continued to hit. And then it was the Dodgers that started to strike out. The Dodgers had 8 strikeouts in the last 4 innings. So if that carries over, then we might just see that long series we're going to get. The Dodgers, once again, I told you that the Yankees' starting pitching was deeper. The Dodgers went with a bullpen game last night where they used 6 different pitchers to play 9 innings. and that was because they don't have the depth in their pitching staff. So it showed up in game 4. So they're back online. They should have their starting pitchers that going 5, 6, and 7, and they should be okay. But once the momentum changes, Daniel referred to the series between the Yankees and the Red Sox, the league championship series. And Kevin Millar was one of the top guys on the Red Sox. And the Yankees led 3-0, and the Yankees were loaded, and everybody said they're just going to blow right through them. And Millar said, don't let us win a game. You better finish this off in 4. Because if we win 4, we got our guy going in 5. And they did. They had Schilling, then they had Pedro, and now they're in 7. And sure enough, Schilling got a performance in 5, and Pedro did 6. And they went to game 7, and they ended up beating the Yankees and sweeping them. Only time it's ever happened. But it can happen.
It can happen.
And
anything can happen.
And that was what everybody used last night. Don't let us win game 4. Well, they won game 4. Let's see if now they have, Garrett Cole on the mound tonight, their ace going. If he can carry them over, then they go into Rondon the next game. And hey, you just don't know when pressure changes, when things happen.
That's why we watch.
One of my favorite assistant coaches, and he's a great coach. He's with the Texas Longhorns right now, coaching defense. And he used to say to the team all the time, pressure burst pipes. Pressure burst pipes. Put pressure on them and watch what happens. And he's exactly right, and that's exactly what happened last night when the Dodgers didn't respond. If Yankees can keep the pressure on, this thing can go deep.
There you go.
So,
prediction from the coach. I just want to see all the games. I wanted to go back and forth. Nobody wants a sweep.
No.
That's boring.
Yep.
No. All right. Well, that's this week's episode of That Sports Couple. I hope you enjoyed it. We had some fun treats this week. Happy Halloween. Be safe out there. Hopefully rain. And I hope everybody enjoys their Friday night games. And go vote. I don't care who you vote for. Vote.
We're also going to have a special come out the next day or 2. Interviews I did with some of my ex-players out of the Destrehan baseball, softball, golf tournament. And just tell me what your memories are. What were your best, your favorites? What do you remember? And it was really fun to see those guys. And we're not talking kids anymore.
Yeah, grown men.
Yeah, these are grown men.
Some of them I didn't recognize.
They're in the middle of their careers. That's the 2004, 2005 team. Most of those guys were. So they've been gone a while.
So have you.
I know.
There you go.
They get 30 in the mid 30s, so
all right.
Or early 30s.
Well, thank you for joining us.
We love you.
And we love each other. Hey, Marty. You're set up already. Hey, Marty.
Yes.
What does the skeleton eat at the barbecue?
Ribs?
Spare ribs.
Oh.
Bye.
Almost got me one.